Aussie Villain, welcome to episode 28 of our first star challenge with Everton. This is a transfer special. There will be no games, something a little bit different. We're going to go through pre-season. We're going to bounce back from being so close to winning the Champions League last year. And we're going to go through all of pre-season, see what signings we can get done as we look to go better than we did last year. So we're just back from the end of season awards here, as you can see. Just a couple of things that potentially of note here. European Champions League Dream Team, Pickford and Digne got into that. So that's well done to them. And the Champions League Awards, Jordan Pickford was the goalkeeper of the year. So I think it's safe to say we're relatively well served at goalkeeper, and that's not somewhere that we need to look to strengthen. So to start with, I thought what we do is just have a quick look at the squad and how we're standing. Under 18s, we've got some good high potential prospects in here. Now these guys we can name after you, just like Terry Cook. So if you want to have an academy product named after you, just let me know in the comments, or you can get me at AussieVillain on Twitter, and we'll look to get that done for you. You can see George Armstrong, central defender, very, very, very highly rated player. We also have Willoughby, a goalkeeper, along with Healy, a midfielder, and we have Watson, a left back, and another midfielder there in Rittenberg. They are the best rated players. So like I say, we can name them after you. Just let me know in the comments, and we'll look to get that done ready for next season. Now in the under 23s, there's a few players here that we could potentially look to use. Lewis Gibson, I'm never really convinced by him, but as a left back, I'm thinking maybe as a third choice behind Robinson and Digne. We're probably okay, and at 19 doesn't need to be registered for the senior team. This guy whose name Adrenaline we'll just go with. I mean, the game says he's relatively highly rated. He's Nigerian. I'm assuming he's still English qualified. He's 21 though, which means we'd need to register him. His contract's up the end of this season. I'm thinking he looks like more of a ball-winning midfielder than anything to me, but I'm not sure that he's one we're going to use. We might look to sell him on. Astley here, another central defender who we could potentially again look to use. They're maybe not ready for the first team, and a couple of other options here. A good third choice goalkeeper, I think, in Henson, if we have a quick look at him. Again, I think goalkeeping we're very well served. A couple of strikers, midfielders. I mean, Pennington is the one that I'm looking at that we could potentially use. We are going to need at least one centre-back because we had Holding this year who's going off. Actually, I might just call him into the senior squad now. And as far as sort of, we don't want to buy somebody to play as sort of the fourth, fifth choice centre-backs, but I think Pennington will do a job there for us. The other one potentially is Connolly. I'm not sure what to do with him. If we look at his ratings here, or his information, he's a central midfielder or a right winger. As a utility player, I'd say, yeah, he's fine, but he'd have to be registered in the squad now at 22, and I'm not sure. I think his contract up next year, it looks like. Yeah, so it might be one of those, if we can sell him, we might look to sell him just to get some cash in. But otherwise, I mean, he's not someone you desperately want to get rid of, but he's not sort of fantastic either. And there's some other highly rated prospects here as well, as we can see. I'm not quite sure. We'll sort of play with these guys, see where the preseason kind of takes us, I think. None of them are going to step into the first team, let's put it that way. And if we do look at the first team, let's have a look here at positions. As I said, well served for goalkeeping. Holding, we know he's not going to be around next year, so let's just take him out of the picture right now. Yerry Mina, 120 grand a week, he's not worth that. So I'm wondering if we could maybe sell him for something approaching his value, get his wages off the books. I think for 120 grand, I would think we could get better than a 3.5 star central defender. So I'm not convinced he's going to stay. Holgate, I think he can play right wing and he can play central defence. I would like to keep him, and we're not paying him that much either. So he's one to keep. Galloway, we already know he's leaving, so we'll put him back out of the picture here. Right back, Kenny and Coleman. It's not the position we need to fix most of all, is it? They're two very capable players. Could we upgrade? Absolutely. Do we need to upgrade? I don't think it's top of the list. So that leaves us sort of Stark, Pennington, Keane, and Holgate as central defenders next year. If Mina stays, we could probably just about get away with that. If he does leave, I would like to get in a really top-class central defender. So that's sort of something that I'm looking to do over the off-season, if possible. Left back, again, it's not the worst, it's not the best. Robinson did fine this year. Digne, we saw Champions League Team of the Year, so we don't necessarily need to upgrade again. That position could be fine. Morgan Schneiderlin, he is someone here, again, 100 grand a week for a 2.5 star player. I'm going to transfer list him now. His contract's up the end of this season. He is one that I would like to get rid of. So we're gonna transfer list him and just hope that we can get him out the door. I'd take half that. we can get 4 or 5 million for him, I'd take that just to get his wages off the book. And so we have better players. We have Morrow, who is a similar sort of player but better. Tom Davies is absolute class. What a player he was for us last season. Top scored in the Champions League as well. Benning and me, we might have to register him. I don't think he's going to be sort of an instant register or an automatic register in the Premier League squad. So he might be one we need to look to ship out potentially. Sanderberg is good quality. I like him as a defensive midfielder, so we're going to keep him. We're going to keep Barrios. I thought him coming into the team for the knockout rounds of the Champions League, we beat better opposition, and he was a massive part of that. Especially the Manchester City 3-0. That was insane. Bobby Carroll, someone I'd like to play more this year. Very highly rated. Everton player, of course. He won't need to be registered because he's under 21. So he's someone I'd like to look to use. Denny Drinkwater, I know in the comments a lot of people are sort of against me in keeping him. Again, just as a deep-lying playmaker, if we can get him back in for little to no money. Is his contract up now, or is it up at the end of this coming season? Sort of this season about to start. His contract is up, he's got a couple of years left. I'm not paying 100 grand a week for him, but if we can get him in for something similar to this, sort of just 30 grand a week, I would definitely look to do that again. But we'll just kind of have to see how things go there. Timmy Cahill, we know he's retiring, so we'll take him out of the picture. We're going to try and keep him on as a coach. So hopefully he'll stay with that. The other one I want to get rid of here is Theo Walcott. 100 grand a week. Again, 2.5 star player. We owe $500,000 if we play him again. So I just think we're just going to try and... I didn't know his asking price was up there. Just going to try... I don't know if you can hear that rain. It's absolutely belting it down all of a sudden here. We're going to try and get rid of him and sort of free up the wages, free up the money again. If we can take half that, I'd take, again, 10 million. If we get Walcott out the door for 10 million, we'll take that. In terms of wingers, we have some decent ones. I'm just scared this rain's actually overpowering my voice here. I do like Henry. I think he's very pacey, as just out of a winger or inside forward, especially an inside forward, that dribbling and finishing. I think he's one worth keeping. Josh Bowler. I think we're going to have to register him if we want to use him in the Premier League. So I'm not sure he's worth a slot in the Premier League squad. We'll have to kind of see how that plays out. Adamola Lookman, I do want to keep him. I thought he was superb when Bernard went out of the team. I thought he sort of kept us going. Bernard, obviously, we want to keep him. He is absolute class. And then Rick Carlson is another winger. Obviously, again, we want to try and keep him. Excuse me. Number 10s, I think we're well served between Sergio Gomez and Vladzic. I don't think we can upgrade too much, if I'm honest. And if it's going to be sort of 70, 80 million pound players if we do. We don't really have that. We have 80 million to spend over the course of the preseason, so I'm not going to necessarily want to upgrade in that particular position. Another midfielder potentially, maybe someone that could, like Gomez, that can sort of push forward, sort of someone like that we might look to do. Then in terms of striking options, we have Terry Cook. We don't need to register him. He's becoming a really, really good option for us. Potentially a 5-star player. We know David Selke's class, so we're not going to look to move him on. We're happy with him. Sandro's the one. His contract's up the end of next season as well. If we sort of fish him around, see if we can get something approaching his value, then that might be worth doing. He's on 65 grand a week, and I think we could probably do better for that sort of money. And then Calvert-Lewin, again, either club player, which is important, especially when registering European squads. So we'll look to keep him. We're not paying him too much either. And let's face it, he got 10 goals out of 17 starts for us last season. He did a job. So I think, basically, long story short, we're looking to upgrade a right winger if we can to get Walcott out, another central midfielder and get Schneiderlin out, and potentially, if we can get rid of Mina, another central defender. That's what I want to do. Will we do it? We'll find out. Okay, some things to update you on here. We've barely skipped ahead any time at all, but we are expanding Tim Cahill Park, or Goodison Park as the game insists on calling it. We're going to go up to 50,000. It's going to cost just under 40 million to add 10,500 seats. So it's a lot of money for 10,000 seats, but I mean, it'll be good. It'll upgrade the stadium. 50 grand, that'll really help with the finances long term, if not short term. And the commercial summary, I always think this is good just to see who our most popular players are. Selke, Bernard, Pickford, Davies, and Berg. Berg's a surprise there. The other one's not so much. But yeah, we're making some sales, raking in the dough. And yeah, so that is sort of roughly a quick update on the club. The upgrading of the stadium, the expansion of the stadium, that's the big news. Okay, so we have the first little bit of movement in the transfer market. We're at June 1st, so we haven't moved on that far from the end of season, and we have already had bids come in for Yerry Mina. Now we've gone with Schalke's bid, 18 million, no wages having to be paid. That gets Yerry Mina off the books, 120 grand with 18 million, obviously. And we have made two bids ourselves. You can see here, we're looking to bring two central defenders in. The first here is Jonathan Tah from Leverkusen. I'll just click on his name. It's going to be easy to do it this way. This guy is an absolute beast. He's just as beasty in the air as what's his face? Mina is, but much quicker, strong. Positioning could do a little bit better, but this guy's just an absolute monster. We're offering 24 million, so it'll be a sort of 6 million that we've spent on top of the Yerry Mina money. But really good player there. And the other one, we're going to look to bring them both in, I think, is Luis Felipe. Now, this guy is basically... he's just an absolute gun of a defender. Look at that positioning, teamwork, work rate is all there. All the main stats are pretty much there. Really good rounded defender. Aggression and anticipation. This guy is going to be our number one central defender if he comes in. And you can see we have made a bid of 20 million for him. So essentially, just 2 million over the Yerry Mina money. So we'll get two really good defenders if this comes off. Two really good defenders for the outlay of what will be about 26 million pounds. I'm really excited about these two. Let's hope they come off. Okay, the first piece of business has been done. It's now June 9th. The transfer window has opened, and Jonathan Tah is an Everton player. You can see we got him for 24 million, 60 grand a week, which is absolutely amazing in terms of wages, isn't it, to get a player of this quality for 60 grand a week. And there we go. We can see 4-star ability is almost there, right? Sorry, 4-star potential is almost there right now. Yeah, really good signing. Happy with him. My only concerns are the aggression and the work rate, but I mean, as I said, it's the physicals that we bought him for, isn't it? And the defensive stats as well, which are right up there. Now, there was a slight snag in the Mina deal in that he rejected the Schalke contract. We have had Atletico Madrid come in, much less money, only about 8 million, but at this point, having signed one replacement and potentially another one hopefully coming in, we just need to get him out the door. So that's hopefully going to happen. And you will see here that now that the window's open, a few other things have happened. Arsenal with a bid for Lucas Digna. He's not going anywhere unless he kicks up a stink, which hopefully he won't do, but we've rejected that. Swansea came in for Morten Schmeichel, which I was happy with. A fee of 3.3 million, not really what I want. They want us to pay 26 grand a week of his wages, not happening. So that's all done and dusted there. And Wolves did make an inquiry about John Joe Kenny. Again, I think he's a good right back for us, so we're not going to sell him again unless he kicks up a stink or they come in with absolutely stupid money. But it's just Wolves that are interested, and I'm pretty sure we'll be able to see them off. So when there's further updates, I will be back. Okay, we're back, and just hours after Tah accepted our contract, Luis Felipe has done the same thing. He is also now an Everton player. You can see 20 million pounds that we've paid for him. He's on 55 grand a week, which means we've got both of those new defenders for less wages than just Yerry Mina. We need to get that man out the door, and this guy is absolute money. He's our first choice centre-back. I'm really excited for what he can bring to the club. Let me know what you think, guys, at home. But I think that he is absolute quality. He's the best player we've signed in terms of defensive players yet in this save. So Luis Felipe is now an Everton player as well. So welcome him to the club. And just one other bit of news that I did forget to mention is that Tom Davies has signed a new long-term contract at the club. 5 years, essentially double your money. He's on 90 grand a week now, but I think you'll agree he is worth every single cent of that 90 grand a week because he was amazing for us last year. So that is the other bit of news. Oh wait, if there's more to come, I will be back to report it. Okay, it is now June 17th and we have signed another player. This time it's not one for this season, it's a 16-year-old fullback, Lorik Milo. We'll see here, if we can just click on his name, it's a little bit easier to see. He's French, we've signed him from Troyes, I think it was, in France. 2.2 million, rising up, I think it pretty much doubles the money if he plays 50 games for us. Look at this, a 5-star potential player. This is long-term Seamus Coleman's replacement. Physicals are amazing for anybody, but especially for a 16-year-old. The mental, bear in mind, 16, this kid. Dribbling's good, tackling's good, everything, positioning's good. Everything is right there for an absolute legendary winger. So that's what we're doing right now. We've signed this guy. He's not one for this year, but we'll get him sort of affiliated in with the club, knowing the way we play. And in the next season or two, this guy will come in and replace Seamus Coleman. Now, in terms of the outs, we are having a few problems getting players out. What's his name? Mina, he rejected Atletico Madrid's contract, then complains about how he wants to join Atletico Madrid. So we're not sure what's going on there. At this point, I just want him out. I'm not even concerned about the fee, to be honest. 120 grand a week is just insane money. I mean, it's almost, be pushing 20 million a year anyway, wouldn't it? So, whether we could save a transfer fee by just getting him out the door. Similar case with Morgan Schneiderlin. Try that again with Morgan Schneiderlin. He's just rejected contracts from Villa, Swansea, and Watford. So there's interest there. But again, he's on happy street with the money, 100 grand a week, isn't he? So it's difficult to shift him. Now the big one that could potentially happen, I'm not holding my breath though. Theo Walcott, an £18 million bid from West Brom. I hope that Walcott accepts that contract, because that would be amazing money for a 31-year-old we don't want. And if once we can get that done, then we can start looking to bring in his replacement. I don't want to sign somebody until we get him in. You can see here we've got just under 34 million left. The big problem is that we only have 45% that we can retain of the budget, which is really annoying considering we're in a good spot financially right now. But what we can do is, if we get Walcott, Schneiderlin, and Mina out of the club, that's 300 grand a week. We can start and convert budget money into transfer money. And sort of make the change that way to get a bit more funds in. But if we can sell Walcott for that 18 million, that's 42 odd million. We can get a nice little right winger for that. So that's where we're at right now. Keep your fingers crossed that Walcott goes to West Brom, and when it's more to report, I'll come back. Okay, we're up to June 18th now, and there is another signing to announce, but this one comes with a little bit of a caveat in that he doesn't have a work permit. It's £800,000 for a young Paraguayan attacking midfielder. Now look at this guy. He came up on the scouting report. I just saw 17 vision, 16 passing, and I signed him. But otherwise than that, he's actually quite a good player. Now, I do think we'll get a work permit for this guy without a problem. He's only 18. He's already played 3 games for his country. What I think my plan is here is that we'll try and hang on to him. We have 120 days before we can go again on the permit, which is probably going to take us past the transfer window. So what we'll probably look at doing is loaning him out somewhere where he can play. I'll have to have a look into exactly where he can play. Does he have a second nationality? We can always just loan him back to a Paraguayan club if need be. Make sure he gets that, gets those caps so we can get that work permit. We'll try and bring him back in December to try again then. But I think you'll agree, for what we paid for him, $850,000, an absolute pittance. And even if it doesn't come off, we can see he's already valued at $8 million. We can just sell him on and we have like tenfold made our money back. So disappointing he doesn't have a work permit, but I think you'll agree, still worth the £800,000 investment. Now, something else that may be going to happen here, and it's happening relatively quickly, is a bid has come in for Sandro. I want to say, was it Fulham, or was it might have been 2 bids, actually. Was it Fulham and Wolves? Well, hoping he goes to Wolves. You can see the Wolves bid there. It's going to be behind my head, isn't it? You're not going to be able to see that. The Wolves bid was for more money, came in second, so I kind of was a little bit more cheeky and asked for more money. So I'm hoping he goes to Wolves. I think both of these deals involve us paying some of the weekly wage, but it's still less money, and if we get the cash in, we hardly used him last season at all. I don't know how many games did he play. 10 games. So if we lose, I don't think we need him there anyway. We have other options. We can play Henry up front. We can play some other options to fill in those 10 games if needed. So he's surplus to requirements, and hopefully he'll be off on his way. We'll get a bit of cash in for him. When there's something else to report, guys, as ever, I will come back. Okay, it's June 22nd now. A few more days have passed, and is it minor? I don't know. I'm relatively excited about this. We've got Dendy Drinkwater back on loan. Same deal as before. 30 grand of his weekly wage, 30% of his weekly wage of 30 grand. I'm happy we've got him back. I'll be honest. I think he's a really, really good deep lying playmaker. He was a revelation in that role, to be fair. And I'm happy we've got him back. Let me know what you think. I know there was mixed thoughts in the comments, and by mixed I mean I wanted him and you guys didn't, but I'm in charge here and I got him, so that's the main thing. Now, some other news. We're struggling to get players out because of their wages. We've had Villarreal come in for Sandro, 6.5 million, no weekly wage. I'll take it. Schalke's come back in for Yerry Mina. I think it was 18 or 19 million. So that would be absolutely phenomenal if that can happen. Again, 19 million. They keep rejecting contracts. Walcott did reject West Brom's contract, so that's 18 point something million down the drain for him. And we do still have offers coming in for Morgan Schneiderlin and Kieran Dowell as well. 2.1 for Kieran Dowell. Schneiderlin is, I think it was 4 million, 4.5 million. Cagliari came in 4.5 million. So there's nibbles there. We just need to get these guys out the door, and more specifically, get their wages out the door. So just keep your fingers crossed, guys, we can do that. Because once we free up those wages, then God help the transfer market, we're coming for it. It is now July 1st, and we have finally got somebody out we wanted to get out. Sandro has gone to Villarreal, 6.5 million. I can't remember if we're paying any of his wages. I don't think we are. But like I said before, we weren't using him. He's surplus to requirements, so we'll get him out, and that's fine. You can see he's worth more than that. But like I say, just get what we can and get rid. Still having problems getting rid of Walcott, Schneiderlin, and Yerry Mina. I've changed my tact on Yerry Mina because Schalke's come back in with good bids, like 18 odd million, and he keeps rejecting their contract. So I'm going to try, if we can get similar money and pay some of his wages, at least we'll get him out of the club, and then we'll have, some money, even if we are putting some of that back in towards wages, some of the transfer fee back in towards wages. That's kind of where I'm at right now, guys. We just need to try and get these guys off the books as much as possible. Now, we did have a bid from Villa come in for Schneiderlin as well. And it was a good offer too, 7.75 million without having to pay any of his wages. So if that can go through, fantastic. You can see the bid there for Yerry Mina once again. And as for Theo Walcott, again, 14 million for Stoke, currently not having to offer anything on wages. Again, keep your fingers crossed, guys, that these deals will go through. Again, I don't think they will, because why would they? They haven't been going through so far, so why would they suddenly change their mind? Maybe it's July 1st, budgets have changed, I don't know. But yeah, if anything else happens, I will be back. Alright, 1 down and 3 to go. Schneiderlin has left the club. He's off to Udinese. We've got a fee of 7.75 million for him, which is pretty good for a 30-year-old. We're paying 34 grand a week towards his wages, but that's still 65 or 66 grand a week off the wage bill. And this is as good as we could get. To be honest, there was no way of getting anything more than this, because basically he was rejecting other contracts. So thank God he has accepted this deal. What's he on now? He's on 41 grand, so plus the 36 we're paying. He's still on 70 odd grand a week. So good luck to him. He wasn't good enough for us anymore. Morgan Schneiderlin has left the club. 2 down, 1 to go. Theo Walcott has left the club, back to Southampton. It's the fairy tale, isn't it, really, for his career? Bookended by Southampton. But 14.25 million, not too shabby. We're paying 25 grand per week of his wage. Again, not ideal, but at 75 grand a week, we've now got off the wage book, plus the 14.25 million as well. Now, what this means is that we can begin our search for a upgrade, a new right winger. Now, we know we're not going to get stuck with Walcott in his wages, so hopefully, next time I come back, it'll either be for a Yerry Mina sale or to announce a new signing for a right winger. Well, it was all going so well, going to plan, and then this has happened. There is now trouble in paradise. Barcelona has come in for Bernard. It's an absolute pittance, 37.5 million. We're never going to sell him for that. I don't know what all these add-ons are here. Maybe it would have made it worth our while. But he's now unhappy. He's unhappy. If we look at squad happiness here, he's disappointed he couldn't leave to join Barcelona. A couple of people agree with him. That hasn't come up yet. What I said to him was he wants to win the Champions League. And I said, I can't promise that we'll win the Champions League, but I can promise that you'll challenge for it. And he said that that's not possible. I mean, we literally just made the final. We literally just challenged for it. So I'm not quite sure what to do about this. I'm hoping he'll get over it. We'll speak to the other players and everybody will kind of play happy band again. But this could be a problem. Well, I did not expect this to happen. We've signed Phil Foden on loan, everybody. I had no intention of signing anybody in that position. But he's obviously an Englishman. He's under 20, which means we don't have to register him into the squad. I saw West Ham put up my feed that they've made a bid to sign him on loan. And I thought, you know what? Let's have some of that. So we got Phil Foden on loan for the season. Only 30 grand a week in wages as well. So absolutely nothing. We're not paying any sort of monthly fee. This, I think, is a really, really good signing for us. Obviously a wonder kid. I don't think it's going to... Maybe we can try and price him out longer term. But along with Vlasic, he's pretty much the exact same sort of player as Vlasic. Plus, we've got Sergio Gomez in there as well. This is a good signing. 30 grand a week. All right, it's another in that we have got in. It's Rafinha. He's a winger, 43.5 million pounds. We're paying him a little bit of cash as well. Let's have a quick look at him here. Basically, this is Theo Walcott's replacement. Now he can play left or right, which means that should Bernard leave, we do have between Rafinha and Richarlison guys that can play left and right, quality, Lookman to back them up, so we can kind of get away with it for now. But 85 grand a week, you can see here, really good dribbling, crossing, the physicals are quite good, he's pacey, flair's good as well, technique is good, so he has all the basics there. 23 years old, so yeah, we have a quick update on the Bernard situation. We'll see here, he's still unhappy, it's gone public now, I'm not giving in to him, but we've whacked the price tag of 120 million on him, I think, which has kind of scared Barcelona off. I'm hoping that what will happen is that once the transfer deadline closes, then he'll be okay with it. He'll just get his head down and keep playing football for us the way that he was last season. But we won't know that till the deadline closes, and at that point it's too late to do anything else about it, isn't it? So yeah, that's where we're at. We do have a replacement in for Walcott, and worst case scenario, we can get by with Richarlison, Lookman, and now Rafinha. So if anything else happens, obviously we'll come back. But we're July 20th now. Friendlies are underway. I'm hoping that could be us done. Hallelujah! He's gone, Yerry Mina. We finally got him out of the club for £10 million off the Shakhtar Donetsk. We're only paying 10 grand a week of his wages too, so 110 grand off the wage bill, plus 10 million in the bank. That is almost as good as we could have hoped for, I think, given the circumstances. If he'd gone to Schalke earlier on in the year, he would have been playing in a better league. We would have got 19 million, and we wouldn't have been able to pay anything. I don't know what Schalke's wage were they're offering him. But that doesn't matter now because he is out the door. Now, one other small piece of business to catch you up on that I forgot to mention before. Kieran Dow, we've sold him for 3 million off to Brentford. I did like him as a player, but he wasn't really going to play for us. I think we kind of moved past his because he was over 21, so he would have had to be registered in the squad, and we didn't really have space for him. So he's gone off to Brentford, and he'll do well for himself there. Now, something else that I am considering to doing here is if we just go to... No, that's not what I want to do. I want to probably have it where I had it there. Pennington. Pennington is valued at about £10 million or so. Just over 10 million. I like Pennington. His contract's up the end of this year, though, and as a backup player, he's sort of sixth choice, maybe fifth if you take him ahead of Holgate. And is he ahead of Keane? Is he ahead of Keane? You know what? He's not that much worse than Keane. I wonder if we should sell Michael Keane and keep Pennington. Anyway, what I'm thinking is that we have 6 really good centre-backs right now. What I do want to look to do, though, is if we look in the reserves here, we have Astley, here, 18-year-old, potential 3.5 star player there. So the only way he's going to get better is if we give him game time. And then, of course, coming up in the under-18s, we have our 5-star potential central defender in George Armstrong. So I'm thinking as a 6th choice centre-back, one of those two, or, I'd probably Armstrong, if the situation allows, I'd like to start and get them into the first team so they continue to progress, which means we don't really need 6 top quality first team centre backs. Now, having seen that, I'm wondering if we look to get Michael Keane out, 20 million and 60 grand a week, as opposed to Pennington, who is on much less and is about roughly the same quality. So, having got Mina out the door, now I'm thinking maybe we'll try and ship one more centre back out. It's July 29th, we're running out of time. They're only about a week to the deadline. Okay, with only about 2 hours to go to the deadline, there is one more major out. We have sold Michael Keane, 17 million off to Swansea City. We pay 15 grand a week of his wages, but that's still... What's maths? That's still, 45 grand a week, so basically what he's making there now. Off the wage bill again. And what I've done is I've signed Pennington, recently his contract was up at the end of this year, so we've re-signed him on about 38 grand a week, I think it is, but sort of high bonuses for appearances and clean sheets. So because he's going to be a backup, so when he does play, he'll make his money, but we've basically saved about 30 odd grand a week on wages, and he and Keane are essentially even in terms of attributes, and Pennington's younger. So I'm pretty happy with that, and what that does mean, of course, as well, is that we should then be able to give Astle Astley, and George Armstrong a chance in the first team. Just one other minor in to report, and it's Cody Jamar here. Quite the steal, actually. We got him for 90-odd thousand from Fulham. They had him transfer listed. You can see he's a 4.5-star potential player. And there it is. You can see a couple of minor players going out on loan, youngsters there. Tolisso was the big one from Bayern Munich to Manchester United. Rafinha, that was our one. He comes to us for 43.5 million. Now, this guy was someone that I did want to sign, but he's gone to Chelsea. Really good passing and really good vision, good technically as well. But he was just a little bit too much money for us at the time. So, we've got that. Biggest spenders. Woohoo, get in. I don't think I've ever been the biggest spenders before. We have gone big this transfer window. And we'll just have a quick look at what has happened and let me know what you think. We have spent, as it said, 91 million. We've recouped almost 60 million, so we actually haven't spent that much. But the outs, that was a minor out. Sandro, 6.5 to Villarreal. Schneiderlin, 7.75 to Udinese. Theo Walcott, 14.25 to Southampton. Galloway's gone to MLS for free. Kieran Dow, 3 million to Brentford. Yerry Mina, 10 million to Shakhtar. We sent Josh Bowler out on loan to get some first-team football. He's a really good winger for us. He just needs to be playing a little bit more, I think. So we'll do that this year and see where he stands when he comes back. Michael Keane, gone, 17 million to Swansea, and then another youngster we sent out on loan. Now, the ins, to remind everybody, Jonathan Tah, 24 million pounds, only on 60 grand a week, though. Really, really good central defender there. Luis Felipe, an absolute star, I think this guy's going to be. 20 million from Lazio. Loric Milo, a French right back, only 16, one for the future, but potentially he could play this year in the Cups, even though he's 16. Really, really good prospect, this kid. So right back. Francesco Canente, I'm not quite sure how you'd say that. No work permit right now, but we only paid 850 grand for him. He's already worth 9 million, and we will get a work permit for him. He already has 7 caps for Paraguay. We can apply again for his work permit in October. So we're going to keep him at the club till then, and if we can't get a work permit in October, we might have another go then before the January transfer window, and if we still can't get him a work permit after those 2 international windows, then we'll look to send him out on loan until we can. But this kid could be anything, only 18 as well. Phil Foden, the surprise signing, wasn't expecting to make this one, got him in on loan for Manchester City, only 30 grand a week of his wages, and he is been quite good in pre-season. Rafinha, decent, well, I mean, not decent, a very good winger. We paid 45 million, we paid 43.5 million for him though, so he's going to have to be good to start earning that back. And as I just said, Cody Jamar, bit of a no-brainer at 93 grand. If he comes off, he comes off, and if he doesn't, he doesn't. So let's have a look at the team as we are shaping up now, ready for the season. And of course, we did get Denny Drinkwater back on loan as well. So we'll start up top, and we have good options. I'm really happy with our squad, to be honest, because I think we have 3 really good players in every position, which is just amazing. So if we look at the strikers, Davy Selke, he will be the main man this year for us. He's got 20 goals, I think, each of his 2 years with us. If he does that again, we'll be flying. So he's going to be the first choice. Calvert-Lewin, I think he is battling out right now with Terry Cook to be sort of the second in command. Terry Cook's coming along really nicely, only 16, but he's already looking the business, to be honest, for the first team. And then Henry here, he's going to be 4th choice striker winger, a bit of just a general backup player. But I think he can definitely do a job for us if need be as a striker. If we look at the wingers, most of these guys are interchangeable, but certainly Bernard, he did end up staying. Whether he's still going to be unhappy, you can see down here, if you look down the bottom there, you can see he is still unhappy right now. I'm hoping once all the transfer windows close that he'll be okay. Barcelona aren't interested in him anymore, so that may be to do with the price tag we put on him. Rafinha, of course, can play on the left or the right, as can Richarlison. Bernard can as well, to be honest. Ademola Lookman, he's more, this guy, he can play both sides, he's right-footed, but he's been doing more on the left than anything. And then Calvert-Lewin can play on left wing if we need him to. It's a similar case on the right, just Henry can he's more comfortable over there as well. So you can see wingers, we're really, really well served, and they do score a lot of our goals. This number 10 role, again, we have options. We have Vladzic, who's maybe first choice. I mean, to be honest, we have 3 first choice. I don't know who's first choice between Vladzic, Sergio Gomez, and Phil Foden. 3 really, really good options in the number 10, and Bernard can play there at the stretch. Looking at sort of the midfield, we look to get forward a little bit more, whether it be box-to-box or sort of as an attacking playmaker. Tom Davies is the man, isn't he? He was amazing for us last year, and he will do a good job for us. Sergio Gomez can play in that role, obviously. Once we get the work permit, Canante, he'll do a job there for us as well, along with Phil Foden. And Carroll as well, Bobby Carroll, who we're going to try and get him into the first team where we can. A little bit like Terry Cook. Not quite first choice yet, but certainly the potential to be just that. So we'll look to give him a little bit of football this year. In the defensive roles, whether it's be a deep line playmaker or a ball-winning midfielder, again, we have options and a lot of good ones. Sander Berg in there is a really, really good option, as is Nicola Morrow. Just good all-round players. Denny Drinkwater, as I said, he's more in here for a deep line playmaker than anything else, but the passing, the tackling, the work rate, everything's 15. Essentially every attribute is 15, so he's going to do well for us when we need him. And Barrios as well, he was, I think, the difference in us going as far as we did in the Champions League. He wants more first-team football, so I might try and play him a little bit more, but really I just want him for the Champions League, just to sit in front of the back four and just kill everything that comes at us. In terms of left wingers, we have 2 really. This is, I think, the next place to upgrade. Dignate, fine. Really, really good option. I do wonder if we could do a little bit better than Anthony Robinson, and we don't really have anything below that. So if there is a weakness in the team, I think left wing back is it, although Dignate is certainly anything but a weakness. If we look on the right, again, we have options. Seamus Coleman is a good option, as is, Mason Holgate is in the squad. He's still in the team basically because he can play centre-back or on the right wing. But the main options, I think, behind Coleman are John Joe Kenny and, of course, the kid Lorik Milo that we've already seen. Really think we have some good options there. Now, centre-back, I've sort of split these guys sort of so it was 4 and 4 with Keane. But first choice, we're going to have Luis Felipe. Let's not forget we have Nick Stark as well. Still a really, really good option for us. Second to those guys, we now have Jonathan Tah, of course, another of the new boys, and Pennington as well. And then in behind those, Mason Holgate will be sort of the floater amongst everybody. And then, as I said, we have Astley and we have Jerry Armstrong, to come in as well, that are sort of in the youth teams right now, but more than capable of making the step up. In terms of goalkeepers, again, we have 3 good options. Pickford, first choice. Rajkovic, second choice, and a very, very good backup. He'd be first choice for a lot of teams in the Premier League, I would imagine. And then Nicholas Hansen as sort of third choice right now. He's American youth international. He's more than adequate as a backup. And we do have a young 15-year-old kid coming through the academy as well who can step in if we happen to need a 4th goalkeeper. So that's it. That is the squad for the next season. I think it's strong. Pre-season, let me tell you guys, we'll go through it next episode. Pre-season's gone very, very well. So we'll do all that next episode. That'll be, of course, for what would that be, for Thursday. So make sure you come back then. We'll go through pre-season. We'll have another quick review of the transfers just to refresh everybody. And then we'll get our season underway. You can't probably see it behind my head, but our first game of the year is at home to Fulham. So we'll look to get off to a flyer against them. But until then, guys, I've been Aussie Villain. Thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed this, it's a little bit different, I know, but please do hit thumbs up. I'm not sure if it's been a long episode or not. It's hard to keep track when you're sort of cutting in and out all the time. But if you are new, make sure you're subscribing. Welcome to the channel, and ring the bell so when I upload new episodes. And usually we'll show a game, or usually 2 games. Next episode may just be 1 again to try and keep the episode length shorter. I'm just still learning how to do these transfer specials, guys. Is there anything you saw too much of that you wish you had seen more of? Any feedback you have, please do let me know so I can keep improving these and make sure that they're enjoyable for you guys. But until then, guys, until next time, I've been Aussie Villain. Take care.